Alright, what's going on people? Welcome back to the channel. My name's Anass. I'm a junior doctor working in the UK. And in today's video, I thought we should cover a few things that I enjoy about being a doctor, or a few things that I enjoy about medicine in general. A while back, I made a video. This was like ages, I think, when I first started the channel, and I made a video about reasons why you shouldn't study medicine. And I mentioned things like the long hours you have to put in both as a medical student and as a doctor. I mentioned some things like you shouldn't do it if you want to earn a lot of money, because there are other ways that you can make much more money. You could just go into investment banking or become a solicitor who probably earns more money, or go into business, or so many other ways, or I can't even remember the other points, but there are plenty more things, trust me, that I don't like about medicine. We can talk about that on another day, but I think it'll be good just to do the flip side and talk about things that I do like. You know, there are a lot of things that are great about this career, a lot of interesting things. It is a very unique career pathway, and oftentimes, you know, medics understand medics. You know, when we meet up, right, with friends or other people who study medicine, you automatically get into that kind of medical conversation, and it becomes a conversation that oftentimes people who are not in that environment will struggle to understand, right? So it is definitely very, very unique. So let's talk about some things that I do like about it. But before we get into that, I should mention a quick disclaimer that with any of my medically related videos, we cover things in generic terms, okay? So we don't mention, or there will be no mention of any patient information or any confidential information. It will just be generic about my kind of enjoyment about the career and medicine as a topic itself. No confidential information at all, all right? So the first thing that I've enjoyed about being a medical student and now being a doctor is picking up real medical signs in patients that I meet. So, you know, in medical school, you spend a huge amount of time learning clinical skills. So you learn about examining the body and the signs that you should pick up. So signs meaning, you know, you might look at someone's hand and you see that the palms are really sweaty, and that is a sign, or could be a sign of a variety of different medical conditions. And if they've got like sweaty palms and chest pain, oh, okay, so then you might be worried about heart attacks or something. Or if you see, oh, that there is an elevated jugular venous pressure. Okay, so what happens is when there is, or when a person has a right-sided heart failure and the heart isn't pumping as well as it could, then you might get back pressure of blood because the blood isn't flowing through as well through the heart into the rest of the body. There's pressure building up backwards, and then the blood or the pressure in the venous, in the jugular vein, will be elevated. So you can see that as a sign. And often as a medical student, you would just not know exactly where to look for those signs, and you look at the neck and you just kind of guess, oh, okay, I don't see, there's no elevated jugular venous pressure, or there's no elevated JVP. Or you listen to the chest and you don't really know what you're listening for. You know that you should be listening for crackles, you know that you should be listening for a wheeze or whatever. In your earlier days of being a medical student, often you wouldn't really hear anything. There were times that I'd get caught out just by the shirt moving. So you put your stethoscope on the chest and just the shirt moving makes a noise, and you're like, okay, could I hear something there? But then when you get a bit better at it and you get a bit more confident at, for example, listening to the chest, then it's a good feeling when you listen, and you listen very carefully, and you pick up those very, very subtle signs. You listen to the chest and you're like, actually, I can hear some crackles on the left side and I can't hear them anywhere else. Okay, so possibly there could be an infection on the left side. And when you pick those subtle signs up, I find that quite satisfying. So the application of all of those things that we learned before, I find quite interesting. And also, actually, on the topic of learning new things and becoming better, this video is actually sponsored by Skillshare, which is a great community and a platform for learning new skills. And I've actually used Skillshare for quite some time and I've enjoyed using it. I've used Skillshare for learning like animation for these very videos that I make right now. So when you see things popping up on the screen, or when I've made kind of more heavily edited videos. Often those are things that I've learned from Skillshare. So you'll find classes on there on a variety of different topics, from like photography and creativity and art and business analysis, loads of things. So I'm sure that if you're interested in something, you'll find a class that you can learn from on Skillshare. So specific class that I enjoyed, or there are a few ones actually, is a class by Jake Bartlett where he goes through animation on Adobe After Effects and using the time graph. So you know when you see things moving through or like objects, right, moving through the screen when I'm editing, and they move in slowly and then they move out fast, right, and you've got the motion blur. Those are all things that I learned from one of those classes. So if you're interested in using Skillshare, then the first 1,000 people to click the link in the description will get a free trial of premium Skillshare membership. So use that link and you'll get that trial. And in general anyway, the premium Skillshare membership isn't that expensive. It works out to about $10 a month on a monthly subscription. So use that link and get your free trial. And now moving on to the second thing that I really enjoy about medicine in general, from being a medical student to being a doctor, is that you're almost like, you're almost like a medical detective, right? Oftentimes what will happen is that a patient will come in and they'll say, you know what, I've been feeling a bit under the weather for the last so-and-so weeks. And this happens as a medical student and as a doctor, just generically. Now it's your job to really dig into the history of these symptoms. And what I find really interesting is that whatever question that you ask, it's very intentional. There's a very specific reason why you ask them. So if someone said kind of, oh, okay, I've had this headache for a really long time. And what you might notice then, if a medical student or a doctor asks you, okay, is there anything that makes that headache worse? Is it worse when you lean down, for example, or you cough? Then there's a very, very specific reason why that question was asked. Because, for example, if someone's got headache that is made worse by coughing or leaning down, then it means that there's a higher pressure in the brain. And it could be that either there's too much fluid in the brain, or that there is a mass that is causing a higher pressure, or just general, there's a higher intracranial pressure. So that would warrant more investigations. But you see, that question wasn't really asked on a whim. It's not just kind of a conversation for no reason. There is loads of intentionality with everything that happens. And then even moving forward from that, when you do an investigation, so if I'm ordering a chest x-ray, or I'm ordering an abdominal x-ray, or I'm ordering a CT scan of the head, there's a specific reason or indication why I'm ordering that. And when I get the result back, there is something specific that I'm looking for, right? In fact, I heard one of these quotes, I think this was at the beginning of when I started medical school, and someone said, apparently 80% of a person's diagnosis comes from the history that you take. So you do really need to be like a good detective, and almost like, okay, I was gonna say interrogate, right? That makes it sound, okay, I don't think that's the right word. It's more like further inquiry about what the person is complaining of, and you ask the right questions to really figure out what it could be. And actually, just moving on from that, just when someone says, I've got a headache, automatically 10 possibilities will just come up to your head, and then you go through each possibility, asking specific questions that will make each diagnosis more likely or less likely. So definitely the detective work, I feel I enjoy a lot about when I was a medical student and as a doctor. And now finally, the last point about what I enjoy about being a doctor, what I enjoy about medicine, is the people that you meet. I remember when I first applied to medicine, I mentioned in the interview, I love working with people, it's something I've always done, very generic answer. But when you become a medical student and you become a doctor, you get a kind of deeper understanding of what that actually means. And specifically, I think the thing that I enjoy is the caliber of people that you meet. With any place, you meet really great people and you meet some less great people. It happens. But when you do meet great people, you meet some amazing people, honestly. The caliber of determination and ambition and hard work and just general kind of smartness of some people is just amazing. And it's in the presence of people that you learn so much from. I remember as a medical student often going into theatre, and there was a time when I was interested in ophthalmology. I kind of still am, but I went into kind of cataract surgery, and I see this surgeon, and he's performing this intricate surgery on the eye, right? And he's so good at it, and then he's talking to me at the same time, talking about the different structures in the eyes and his experience going through the ophthalmology training. And especially when they take you under their wing and they teach you, it's such an amazing thing. So I hope you enjoy this video. If you like this video, then make sure you give it a like and subscribe to the channel, and use the link in the description if you want to get free trial of Skillshare membership. All right, thank you.